had all that anybody would want to have in a brother. He lived the prayer of this house, quote, a country of righteousness where none shall wrong his neighbor, unquote. No one can ever say that in his few months in this chamber, he was controversial or wronged colleagues. He was always there, seeing him every day happy and all. So, Speaker, this house is aware that today we programmed a couple of business. The majority leader informed us last week of business for this week. It is the prayer of this side of the house, the NPP Minority Caucus, of 88, regrettably -1. To pray with the indulgence of the leader of the house that today's proceedings be terminated as we observe a minute of silence in his honor. The Speaker, it's a very sad day. Sad day to a family, to a constituency, to democracy, to Parliament, and to the people of Ghana. We know not when any of us may receive a summons. Colleagues, let's take heart and continue with our service to Mother Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate this treasure space to break this unfortunate news. I do so with a lot of regret and a lot of hesitation. But it's my duty to be the bearer of it. And I've done so. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Majority Leader.
Right Honorable Speaker. Definitely and arguably this is one of the saddest days of this house. Like you said, I saw on the platform some publication to the effect that we had lost our younger brother, Honorable Ernest Kumi. But I didn't believe it. I just thought, in this our politics, sometimes people put out all sort of things. So I just thought it was. And then I got another message that said, Leader, it's serious, it's true. It's published by Joy News and other credible news platforms. And I really was saddened by the development. Very young, just a little over 40 years. Very bright, as the minority leader has presented vividly. Within a short period, he had strung a number of degrees in diverse fields of study, showing that this is a very studious young man. At that age, He believed in democracy. He participated and effectively, and as a result, took a constituency as weighty as Akwatia from within his party and in the general elections. So this is a young man full of promise for the store of knowledge, intellect, promise for store of energy that this house needs to sustain it. The prime of his life, I mean, like the minority leader has indicated, I mean, he has everything that a young man of his age will need. And to be taken away from us at this stage in his life is not only a loss to his family, it's not only a loss to Akwatia as a constituency, it's a loss to Ghana because we wouldn't know where he would have ended up in terms of the leadership of this country. And we may never know what we have missed by losing him so early in his political career. I believe that this house has suffered a terrible blow. And it's a kind of blow that when you take, you can't stand. Even sitting will be a problem. And so I join my colleague to appeal to colleagues here and then Right Honorable Speaker, that we do take an adjournment for today, and tomorrow we can come back and put ourselves together to be able to conduct public business. I know this is not a time for reading tributes. The family is still struggling to come to terms with what has happened. His constituency is still struggling to come to terms with what has happened. But we wish them, we extend our condolences to them, and our prayers are with them. And as a house, we are with them in this period of extreme grief that they must be suffering now. And it is not the minority caucus that has lost, it is this parliament that has lost. Because he was a member of the House before he was a member of the minority caucus. So, Mr. Speaker, I join my colleague to pray for an adjournment so that we can all go back and then put ourselves together. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, may we observe a minute silence. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. Honourable members, I will therefore put a question for adjournment. As many as are in favour of adjournment, say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The House is accordingly adjourned till Tuesday, the 8th day of July 2025 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
So, what you're seeing right now is a live coverage of the happenings in Parliament. The Akwatia MP, who few minutes ago we announced his demise. Parliament has been officially informed by the Minority Leader, Alexander Apanyomaking, who gave a solemn speech, which he described as he having to do so with a lot of regret and hesitation, because they were all hoping that the news they had heard wasn't true, but the reality hit them and they had to. And he, being the Minority Leader, had to do what was heavy but necessary by informing Parliament and by extension the entire nation about this unfortunate happening, the demise of the Akwatia Member of Parliament, Honorable Ernest Kumi. Now, he pleaded with the House to adjourn sittings and suspend the sittings of the House today. And the Speaker of Parliament, the first Deputy Speaker who presided over the business of the House,
unexpected.
then
This is one
agreed
that
to it. Let's cross over to Parliament now.
seen coming, and so right now, as we speak, Parliament has adjourned sittings for today in honor of the late MP for Akwatia, Ernest Yao Kumi, whose sudden and unexpected death has dealt a heavy blow to Ghana's legislative body. Right now in your shot, you see MPs who are troubled and obviously disturbed by this news. It was a proposal or a plea by the Minority Leader after he had formally communicated to the House about the death of Ernest Kumi that if it pleases the House adjourns or truncates sitting for today so that the MPs can mourn with the bereaved family for today and recompose themselves against tomorrow to return to do business, which plea was supported by the Majority Leader, Mahama Yariga, who also uttered few words, very few, very sad and very hard for anyone to even really be able to say words, say enough, looking at the nature in which this news came. And so following that, the Speaker, the first Deputy Speaker who presided over proceedings, Bernard Ahiafo, tossed the vote, and indeed the ayes had it that even as it were, Parliament adjourns sitting for today. And you know, it is a Monday, and ordinarily Parliament does not sit on Mondays, but because the House is readying itself for recess or to adjourn indefinitely, they've added Mondays and Fridays to sittings so that they can deal with the loads of work that the House has to deal with. And unfortunately, today's addition to the extended sittings could not even be used or could not be of any good news for them because of the sudden demise of Ernest Kumi. Ernest Kumi was in Parliament on Thursday, actually. He was around, he was seen just where he sits, usually where you see currently, which has been draped in a red ribbon to indicate and to show that indeed he has passed on. And earlier, when the minority MPs came, those who are designated to sit around that area were all asked to move forward and to excuse or to ignore that side of their seating position so that that whole side will be left alone for it to be observed as such. Parliament, after that plea by the minority leader, which was seconded by the majority leader, MPs stood on their feet to observe a minute of silence in honor of Ernest Kumi. So right now, I can confirm to you that Parliament has adjourned in honor of Ernest Kumi. And when you listen to some of the things that the Minority Leader Alexander Fioma-King indicated or said in his remarks or in his formal announcement to the House, he noted, for instance, that the caucus, and for that matter, Parliament in general, isn't in touch with the family of the late Ernest Kumi, and that they express their deepest condolences to the bereaved family and indeed to the people of Akwetia, whom he was representing in Parliament. And he mentions, for instance, that the member, which is the late Ernest Kumi, was one whose contributions and records to this chamber and to the work of Parliament are well known, because also he was not one who was seen to be a controversial person throughout his stay in Parliament for the very few months. He mentions the fact that this is someone who toiled and who worked very hard to get his seat. However, life could not give him the maximum chance to perform his duties. Very sad indeed, and MPs, even before they started public proceedings, were seen chit-chatting, obviously in some worried, moves. They were disturbed indeed. They have been dealt a heavy blow by this. It is a heavy moment indeed. Hearts are saddened, and people are just struggling to come to terms with what this could mean or what this is all about. Because Ernest Kumi, even during the holiday on Friday, was seen on a number of media platforms, engaging in his public duties, as it were. And so this has come as a sudden one, an unexpected news. The Majority Leader, Mahama Yarga, for instance, says that, this is a loss that Parliament as a whole is dealing with, and it is not even one that is about just the minority, the NPP caucus. He mentions, for instance, that he was a young man, a young individual, just about 40 years, whose life was very promising, and he came with a lot of energy. And it looked like he had a lot of potential and things that he could have done to contribute to this Parliament and the proceedings here thereof. And so that is how things have unfolded today. Sitting has been adjourned yet again in honor of Ernest Kumi, the late MP for Akwetia, whose death was announced earlier today. Unexpected indeed, and leaders of the House from both sides have realized the enormity of, or the magnanimity of it, and I have decided that indeed they need to adjourn sittings for today. Whatever was tabled, and when you look at the order paper for today, there were a number of crucial items that were lined up, the adoption of a number of reports, and even some legislative instruments that were to be considered during today's proceedings, and as well a number of ministers who were lined up to come up here, face the committee of the whole to, answer some urgent questions relating to their ministries, and even subsequent in the week, as we expect the Bank of Ghana governor as well to even show up. All of that has been truncated, all in honor of the late Ernest Kumi. We wait to see other further announcements that will come up, but you know that when all of this happens, it gives room for other conversations, even around the vacancy, which the clerk to Parliament would have to communicate to the Electoral Commission officially, after which the EC as well would go ahead to undertake its regular duties for there to be that vacant seat declared, and thereafter possibly, and as it were, you'd have the by-election conducted in the constituency. And in this case, you have the Akwatia constituency, which is likely going to experience a by-election anytime soon. But just like the Minority Leader indicated in his remarks, though he has made this communication, whatever legal procedures or processes are, aligned to this would be followed duly, and then after which we see what follows. It is a sad day for Ghana's Parliament. the loss of one of its own on the minority or any.
And that's Christian Yale, Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, giving us details of what happened in Parliament just a few minutes ago. Parliament has adjourned to tomorrow, and all as a result of NSC Alkumi, the now member of Parliament for the Akotia constituency, who is no more. We broke the story just a little over 2 hours ago, and this has been one that has been playing out in many ways. Stay with us here on TV3. We'll give you some more updates on this particular one. This has been topical in Parliament, and as well as a number of you have been reacting to this. We're keeping an eye on the new Patriotic Party. We understand the Minority Caucus in Parliament is also ready to visit the family of the deceased Member of Parliament for the Akotia constituency, born on the 5th of December 1984. He would have been 41 years old this year. On behalf of the rest of the team, I want to say thank you. Stay with us. This brief is coming up shortly. After this, if there are any more developments, we'll bring you up to speed with it here on TV3. I'm Alfred Akonsi. Have a good afternoon.
Parents, mark your calendars. It's the 3FM.